Well, another weekend of pro wrestling for the HSP to cover. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I am Jeff Morrow alongside the trendsetter Brian Berga. Catch us on all our shows here on the HSP podcast here on the Give a Shot Network. Like and subscribe. And if you can't watch us, make sure you check us out on the podcast and podcast platforms everywhere. So if you can't watch us, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeart, everywhere you can catch a podcast. You can catch HSP. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. It's going to be a summer full of pro wrestling. We covered R-Truth. We covered the releases of him and Carlito. We talked about that. We talked about the future of WWE. And while we were kind of like breaking down this card, which we're going to break down Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide for you guys, we'll talk a little bit about Fyter Fest, a little bit of NXT, because there was a really match there I wanted to talk about too. And of course, the debut of Mariah May. So we'll talk about that. We'll hit up NXT. But before we do that, though, we're looking at this, and we talked about, not in full length, but we talked about I would say that WWE is kind of treading here on thin ice, trendsetter, with the fact that you charge these huge amount of prices right now. And they kind of drove a lot of people out of WrestleMania this past year because of the prices in Vegas, and which will probably end up being in Las Vegas again this year. But you take a look at the Intuit Dome here in Los Angeles, and again, it's pricey. Again, SoFi is right next door. And of course, we'll also have Worlds Collide will be at the LA Forum, at the Kia Forum, and for what you're paying here. Now, I know a lot of people question about the length of a pay-per-view, obviously, or a PLE. We're just coming off Double or Nothing, which was excruciatingly long, about 5 hours, all the whole show together. And then you get four matches, trendsetter. And I just am like, okay, 5 was fine. Everything kind of wrapped up. Everything was really good. You got 2.5 hours. And I think because of the lead into the UFCs and everything like that, they've wanted to cut back and scale back. And of course, TKO is this huge now conglomerate that has a lot to say here. But I get for Triple H wanting to stick to 5, trendsetter, but only 4 matches here. And I'm telling you, we talked about that WWE is treading on thin ice here. They're going to end up upsetting the fan to the point where, like, you know what, they're not going to be bothered of showing up. What are your thoughts on only a 4-match PLE for WWE coming up this Saturday for Money in the Bank?
Listen, I was always the believer that less is more. When we, in the old regime, we went to the extreme where we had about, on a card, probably 10, 11 matches, and not enough of them had time. And we would always be complaining that, oh my God, that's like literally an 8-minute match. Well, it was there just to fill in a spot, or
Yeah,
it was just
get a chance to
in a PLE. Now in the scenario here, we have 4 matches, but I think even when we had maybe 5 or 6, it still felt like it ran pretty long. And listen, I don't remember it being this low in terms of the extreme. So you definitely know they're going to bank, no pun intended, on the Money in the Bank matches to kind of extend the show in terms of what they plan on doing in the match itself for the women's and the men's.
But even for that, though, even for you say they're all going to get 45 minutes, the problem is that they're going to book that in between the matches. They're going to have commercial after commercial after commercial. And it's fine if I'm sitting at home watching this PLE, sitting eating a pizza and a drink. But for the person that's in there, they're not going to see. They're going to see more commercials, more free time than they are going to than matches, I think, and time for the matches. That's, to me, is a problem for the person that's actually in there and bought a ticket, which I didn't even get a chance to see what they are, but it's pretty obscene price that they're paying here in LA, especially in LA. Though, I mean, yeah, you get 45 minutes each match, but still, it's in between that's the problem for the fan right now.
Well, you're talking about the fan experience. Again, we wouldn't be complaining about this, or you wouldn't be bringing it up if it wasn't for the ticket prices. Now, if the ticket prices were what they normally were before in the past, before TKO took over, then there wouldn't be a problem. But again, I'm not a fan of 4 matches. I think the most you should have 5 or 6. But I'm saying the reasoning behind what they're doing doesn't mean it's justifying what they're doing, because at the end of the day, what you just said, how can people pay for a 4-match card? The length of it, obviously, there are going to be interruptions, of course, within the show itself if you're physically there. But then it goes back to the point, Jeff. If you're going to be willing to pay that amount of money for a 4-match card, and the ridiculous amount of money that WWE seems to be overpaying and charging
Overpricing.
fans,
Overpricing
the tickets, then what are we complaining? Because if that place is sold out for the mere fact that they want to see who's going to win Money in the Bank for the men and the women, then they serve the purpose. I mean, honestly, from a business standpoint too, like it does make sense because, like you said, you're driving out your main fan base because of ticket prices. But if people are still showing up, how is it really hurting you from a visual standpoint? Because you and I could be at home watching it, which we are going to be watching it this weekend, but we can turn away from it, do something else. The people there are I don't know, they're going to have to find some way of entertaining them for the amount of time. But again, also the dynamic too with the UFC, that's what's causing a scenario where, like, listen, I don't remember the last time. It seems to be the norm now, Jeff, that Saturdays are for WWE events now, when it used to be Sundays. So I heard down the road that they were going to change that. It doesn't look like that way now. So I don't think this is going to be the last time that we're going to be seeing, hopefully not more 4-match cards, but lengths like this where it's going to be, let alone one PLE. Now you have 2 with Worlds Collide. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I guess if I were to justify it from the WWE standpoint, it's like, yeah, we have 4 cards there. They want the fans to extend it. I don't know how with those prices, but you're going to have Worlds Collide, and then right after that, you're going to have Money in the Bank. So it's one long event for them.
Yeah, but one's in the Kia Forum though, and the other one's in the Intuit Dome. So I mean, I guess you're gonna have time to cross over to the other one. But again, it's all, to me, is all that they want to get the UFC in there, and they want to give them enough time, I guess, for the prelim matches. Is UFC is UFC is again? I'm not a UFC person. You might be it. I might be putting you on the spot here, and I don't want it to. But is UFC 316 this weekend? It's Saturday.
It's literally lined up right there after.
Yeah, so that's probably why they. I mean, this might not be the norms. They might want to get it because an East Coast thing, right? Because it's right here in our backyard, and so obviously that's probably going to be the situation there. They're probably trying to get it into the prelims and try to make it fit by 10 o'clock, I guess. But we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully it's not. Again, this is just a one-time thing, but it makes it easier for us to break down the card. Makes it nice for a little shorter show. A little
It does, but again, like you to your point, if you're in the audience right there and you're paying tickets for a 4-match card, it's pretty tough sell
Yeah.
in terms of, for me to
They,
justify it.
they did probably do packages though, like you're saying. They probably did do packages where you get the Worlds Collide and then you go have time and you can go into a dome. So they probably did something
Good
like
luck in
that.
the Los Angeles traffic. Great, good
But
luck.
no, but it's not, dude, because like it's straight across from each other, so it's not really a big. It's not really a big deal. It's kind of a complex now that you have the NFL there. You've got the SoFi and then the forums there, and
Yeah,
so
heaven forbid you didn't buy the package though, then you're kind of screwed.
yeah, I guess. But I mean, that's probably what justifies the um the match and stuff like that, because you're getting a combo deal. But anyways, though, I mean, it's still something that's glaring. Obviously, WWE right now is having to
Listen, I can't
balance.
get that combo. I got a mortgage to pay, so
So obviously, WWE's got an issue where there's a lot of they're kind of upsetting the fans. And I'll start with, of course, the releases of R-Truth and Carlita to an extent, but it's just, to me, that it just doesn't seem like, a lot of people have said that it's just not the same kind of WWE in 2025 than it was in 2024. And I mean, it all started with WrestleMania 41. And obviously, they're going to make the announcement that WrestleMania 42 is going to be in Vegas again. So I can't wait till that happens again. And people just go nuts about that. Oh my God, how could you do it in Vegas back to back? But it just seems the goodwill that WWE's kind of had the last year kind of like dwindling down now, and they see it as TKO just trying to suck as much money out of people's pockets as they can, which, hey, they're a business and they're entitled to. If you said, if the supply and demand is there, right, then all power to them. All right, trendsetter. But again, what a great week in pro wrestling. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about Money in the Bank. Let's start with Money in the Bank. Of course, you talked about the 4-match card. And let's start off with Becky Lynch and Lara Valkyrie for the Intercontinental title. So the build-up's been pretty good. I see what they're trying to do here as far as build up Lara as somebody which they haven't been able to do before Becky Lynch, and that's take her seriously. Now, she's a good wrestler, and you kind of needed that one person to kind of spark this, I guess, this the character out of her, this emotion, whatever. And Becky's done it to an extent, but in doing so, has it taken any shine off of Becky? Because I don't know about you, but for a long time, Becky's just hasn't seemed like the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just hasn't. It doesn't seem like she's been that way for a long time. And so I think it's not about Lyra, but I think just something's missing from Becky, because this heel turn which she chose, something's missing from Becky. I would have to say that. What do you think?
Listen, I haven't been a huge fan of the heel turns Becky has done when she was big time Bex, leading into WrestleMania when she lost to Bianca Belair, and then this current version of it. I think all around it becomes so over the top in terms of the reactions and the mindset and the way she talks and all this stuff where she just kind of goes on to a ramble on a rant for some weird reason. But to the same point, though, it takes some of the shine off of Becky Lynch because they're trying to put it on Laura. They're trying to put it on her because honestly, since this feud with Becky, I really haven't been really interested in her. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that when she does have matches on Raw or defends the women's Intercontinental title, they've been great matches because she's a great worker. She really is. But in terms of having a personality and like I told you before, prior to the whole Becky Lynch rivalry, she was more of a cookie cutter. Like, I'm going to defend this title. I'm going to be a fighting. I hate hearing that all the time because it seems so fabricated. It seems non-genuine to me. It's like, stop telling me what you're planning on doing in this goody two-shoe babyface. Tell me in reality how you are, because that's what's selling, and it's showing another side of her. Now, I'm not saying that after it's all said and done, which I still think, and we'll break it down when I tell you who I think is going to win this match, that it's going to benefit her, meaning that, after this, she's set. No, there's still a long ways to go for her. This is helping so much showcase her personality, and that's a credit to Becky Lynch because she's being the one that, she's the talker, the man. Usually Becky Lynch was similar to like how we compare it to Phil Brooks and Punk, where give her the mic, she'll bury anybody, as she's done to Charlotte. I'm sure everybody can bury Charlotte, right? But in this scenario, she's been the one that has gotten the best of Becky Lynch, which not a lot of people can say. So it's helping in that aspect. We know they're gonna have a good match. The last one was more of a fight than anything. I think that's the way it was designed for Becky to beat the hell out of her, so people feel sympathy for her. But in this respects, as much as I'm not a fan of this version of Becky Lynch, it is serving a purpose to get Laura over more than that she is right now.
Yeah, but again, to me though, like it's just like for some reason though, yes, Becky Lynch is a name, but something's been missing from Becky for a while. I would say even after she left for the first time after losing to Liv, I just feel like something's missing from Becky.
I think
And
there's been some resentment from the audience, to be honest with you. I mean, they chant Becky and they sing her song, but at the point where she was facing Rhea Ripley, and you would think to yourself, WrestleMania 40, wow, that's a dream match right there. A lot of people were just rooting for Rhea because they're getting sick and tired of Becky Lynch because they had pushed the man persona so much. Well, this is my opinion. They pushed the man persona so much that people were like, okay, here we go. She does this and she buries Bianca Belair by design, obviously, because it built up to the following WrestleMania after SummerSlam in Vegas. But just it's the same shtick, Now she's big time Bex, and now she's back to the man, and now she's this version of Becky Lynch. It's just a lot of versions of the same thing. So to me, there's anything different from Becky. So to me, I think it's a little bit of resentment because they're a little sick and tired of her, but also a little bit of boredom too. That's where the shine has kind of shined off on her.
yeah, while the shine's gone on Lyra, and I think she's going to come out victorious here. Has this elevated the Intercontinental Championship for the women? Do you think?
Not in the way I think they want it, but it's elevated a little bit because you're more interested in this rivalry, which in the same respects causes more value. Not per se that the value has been talked about in terms of the storyline, because they haven't really talked about the Intercontinental title. They talked about more this personal thing because Becky was a mentor to her and she looked up to her and all this stuff that they're hearing building up to this match for Money in the Bank. But I think it does create a little bit of value because I'm the belief, Jeff, that if you're invested a little bit in the storyline, whatever the outcome is, it creates value to the title as opposed to just being focused on that point. So in my respects, though, I don't agree with you. I think Becky Lynch will come out victorious because if you're going to bring some prestige to the title, as much as we've talked about before, that the shine has kind of gone off of Becky Lynch, having a title on her makes it a little bit more relevant, significant, and continues this rivalry because they're still trying their hardest to get Laura over in the sense that, she's the champ. What makes people more relatable, not when they're initially the champ, when they lose it and then regain it by overcoming a rival or a mentor. In this
Oh my
case,
God. So we're going to see this again. We're going to see
we're
more
gonna
of
see
this.
this again.
My God. And the thing
Listen,
is,
we want a long-term storytelling, right? This is it.
oh man, but this has gone for a long time. And of course, the stipulation is that if Becky wins, Lyra's got to bend the knee. I always thought that was a funny term, bend the knee, but she's got to she's got to shake Becky's hand, admit she's the man, which she has no problem doing it. But if Becky loses, then she can never I believe, challenge for the Intercontinental title. And a lot of things to surround is when Bailey is coming back, because obviously the way things were left off and that little Easter egg and that little, it's evident that we might see Bailey and Becky Lynch, and it might be for the Intercontinental Championship or not. That would maybe elevate it to me if Bailey and Becky are going for it. But I think it just would have been really simple to elevate this championship, defend it on Raw all the time. You know what I mean? Like, have a spot for this match every single time. Make it, to bank it on Becky Lynch to elevate this championship. I think it just would have been easier to, before Becky coming back, to just have more matches. I know it's WrestleMania season and you introduced this kind of like in that time frame, but I think it's just simple, man. Just let's defend this championship. Let's make her a fighting champion, and then, because she was proven in the ring, she was getting mad props in the ring for her work. I just thought it would have been just really simple. 1, 2, 3 here of just having her be just more of a fighting champion than having to depend on Becky Lynch.
I think, unfortunately, Jeff, the days of how you and I envision it, and I get your point, right? But to me, I agree with you at that point. Like, I want to see that, because that's how guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were so much of my favorites, because they defended every single night against anyone and had great matches with anyone, because that was the workhorse title, not just the women's Intercontinental title. I can also say that about the way they have to promote the women's U.S. title as well. Different versions of it, because I think it was better with Chelsea Green. They're trying to do it with Selena Vega. It's not working, because I just think that genre, that mindset has kind of died down a little bit, where they don't want to see it defended every single time. I think WWE's priority is that we want to make this special, because if it was an important priority to them, Jeff, then it would have been defended at WrestleMania. She wouldn't have been in a tag team match going for the World Tag Team titles, and the Intercontinental title would have been defended at that point too. So we're still in this regime where these secondary titles, as much as I want them to have significance, they're not treating them that way, and haven't for a really long time.
I would think that it would be a priority to make these more important, since they're brand new titles. I don't care if you defend it on main event and then you show the results on Raw. And I think that's a good way to do it. And then have a backstage scenario where you get the reaction of Lyra. Hey, after your victory here in main event, you show a couple highlights here and there, then get back to Lyra. I think there's better ways to do it and have that champion be fighting, especially we're introducing new championships. But I have Lyra winning because I believe Bailey's going to show up, and I think she's going to cost Becky. But then, of course, then Becky can never challenge. So that's puts a little twist in there, too. So I'm going to go Lyra. I'm going to go that she wins, and that would really elevate her to get that, that other victory over Becky Lynch. Because right now, Lyra has her number. So we'll see. I lean more to your side of Becky winning this.
Yeah, I've got Becky winning this by crook. Her, trying to embarrass Laura, beating her up some more. In comes Bailey, and now it's going to be Bailey and Becky for the Intercontinental title. Laura will take a little bit of a back seat. She'll be fine. I mean, she's the future of that women's division. Lara, sorry. So she's the future of the Intercontinental title division in terms of trying to reclaim that title. So if she's put to the sidelines a little bit, I don't think it's going to necessarily hurt her. We've got Bailey and Becky, two iconic figures from the Four Horsewomen days, and Bailey going for the Intercontinental title and kind of rehashing that rivalry and finishing off from that standpoint, trying to make some type of elevation to the women's Intercontinental title. So I got Becky winning this one.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing. It seems like they're doing a lot to get to that point of elevating this championship. Where, again, just would have been basic. Just have the matches there and promote it that way. All right, so we got John Cena and Logan Paul. I think, honestly, I'll give Cena his props. I think that was the best Cena we saw on SmackDown in a while. I think he was on point. I think he deflected a lot of stuff, all that negativity from the fans about R-Truth, where he came back with the "you can't handle the truth." I think he was spot on. I think this was you know what it was too, because I just got tired of John Cena getting laid out all the time, looking like a fool, doing the normal, the normal heel heat, where he would just be laid out, taking the finisher and overselling it, and just laying there. And it's good to see John Cena and Logan Paul get, the one-upsmanship. And when I see Logan Paul with that championship held up, I just don't think of it. I don't say if, I just say when they're going to pull the trigger on it, because John Cena said the magic word inevitable. And it's inevitable before we see Logan Paul carrying that world championship. When would it be? Probably this year. I'm going to say this year. Although a lot of monkey wrenches thrown into it is that Gunther will go after that championship against Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw, and also to Seth Rollins if he wins that Money in the Bank ladder match, which we will break down in just a little bit. That also throws another monkey wrench into it, but it's inevitable that Logan Paul will be a world champion in the WWE. And that final segment, though, and them getting the one-upsmanship on Cody and Jey Uso, I kind of tend to believe that Cody and Jey Uso are going to come out victorious, and we're going to see the baby faces come out on top. So at least the fans go home happy in this one. But before we do the predictions, though, you have to like what you saw from John Cena on SmackDown this week. I mean, he was really, really on point. He was on his game.
Listen, I don't get tired of having John Cena, taking finishers and being embarrassed in the middle of the ring. I mean, I think at this stage right now, nothing hurts Cena. Honestly, that's just a testament to.
But it's more lazy. It's just lazy.
Yeah, but that's the point of what John Cena was as babyface to now. We're like, oh my god, he's getting finisher after finisher. Like he's getting one up now rather than the other way around, which is something different, which is what a heel does. Usually when the heel gets one up, they'll come out victorious on the other side of it, and vice versa for the babyface. So I don't mind seeing it, but you're right. John Cena has done probably some of his best work. But the thing is, when he's talking on the microphone, you can just sense. I mean, this is what I get from him when he talks, though. It's just you see all the years of wisdom he has. Like, there's never a scenario I think John will ever find himself in with a microphone or anything the fans can say or chant that's going to throw him off, and he'll automatically use his genius. And I can't believe I'm saying the word genius when it comes to John Cena, but it's true.
Oh, you have to, dude.
Genius to turn something around on other people and not let it affect them. So every time I hear him talk on the microphone, I can't say that I disagree with a lot of what he says because there are a lot of truths behind it. And, I'll quote the famous Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart is that sometimes the best heels, or not sometimes, I feel that best heels are ones who are vindicated at their right and speak their truths as opposed to just being a typical, upset and vindicated heel and, this is this and the world's against me. It's like putting truth behind it. And John does a great job of doing that. So I think he's done some of his best work. The unfortunate part is, like you and I talked about before, what was the point of this heel turn? Because if we're going to do a Hollywood Hogan comparison, like, dude, you can extend this. John's career can be extended 2-3 years because he's not going to be scheduled every single time. It'll be the same scenario like a Brock Lesnar or a Roman Reigns, where the title's not going to be defended all the time. So when it does, it will be something special. But I think John's doing some of his best work and kind of his, as Sean would say, right, his love letter to the business because he's encompassing everything he's learned throughout his entire career into this heel persona, which everyone's wanted to see. And he's done a great job of doing it. This goes back to the beginning. We're talking about the match card, how many matches are on it. Less is more kind of concept. It doesn't work in terms of the matches for Money in the Bank, but in terms of what John does, less is more. He doesn't have to go over the top. Sometimes he does go over the top when he speaks, but the things he says have value and meaning. He does it better than anybody, I feel.
And Logan Paul, your thoughts? Will he be a champion sooner than later? Isn't it inevitable, right?
I think, for the pure die-hardcore purists, it's horrible. How could you do that? But
there'll be
the way it is. Yeah, it's just the way it is. He brings more eyes to the table, regardless whether you like him or not. Listen, from a character standpoint, you could hate his guts, but as a person, I respect Logan Paul in terms of what he's accomplished and what he's done. It's also his brother, too, in the boxing world. So, listen, you can hate these guys, but at the end of the day, you'll pay money to see them. That's the point. They put asses in seats.
And just the fact that the IWC couldn't wait to get on their little chubby fingers and dirty hands to just press their send button about with Logan Paul messing up that little spot there for like a millisecond. Yeah. And he recovered right away and he nailed that frog splash and then didn't bother him a single bit. But all the IWC trolls couldn't wait to just send that video or download that video and send, hey, he fucked up. He fucked up. Well, you know what, at the end of the day, bitches, he came out on top. So Logan Paul again, and that's what you said. He's got all eyes on him, and that's why he's going to be a future champion sooner than later.
So you got Cody and Jey coming out on top in this one?
And the funny thing, I just kissed their asses for like 20 minutes, and they're going to end up losing because I think Cody and Juice are going to come out victorious here.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be the other way around because here's the thing. Cody and Jey lose. I don't think it hurts them.
Are they opening?
Probably. I feel it would open the match. I think it would open the card. I think it really would. And people were like, "Oh, John Cena opened up the card." Dude, it should be
first last year first.
You want to start off in a high note right there. So I think it's going to start off the show. That's what I believe in the match order. I think John and Logan are going to come out victorious. John's going to continue his heelish tendencies, where it's going to be, man, Cody can't get over the hump. He's never defeated John Cena. I think that's a story that they put out in the internet world, where like you compared him to all the versions of Cody versus John. He's never beaten him, even currently at WrestleMania 2. So it's going to be that thing that Cody still is battling this internal mindset. Although he said in the promo that he's not going to hesitate again. I think he's still going to show those hesitation aspects because Cena is a hero in his mind to him and to a lot of people. So until we get over that hump, John's going to one up Cody every single time. And for Logan, I think for him getting the victory over the world champion, I don't think it makes sense for him to beat Cody. But if he beats Jey, it also creates that doubt that, oh my God, Logan's right there. He's on the heels of Jey Uso right now.
Yeah, and then but that would be bad for Jey, because then Jay's got to go into Monday night, and then he's got to take on Gunther, and then he's going to be coming off a loss. So that would be a really, really rough way. And Rikishi's ready to bitch about it. He'd be like, how do you have my son lose, to Logan Paul and then lose the title to Gunther on Monday Night Raw? That's going to be something to hear.
You see, I think that would matter too, Jeff. But when you see that crowd doing this and they're still behind him, I don't think, like, for example, before he won the world title, before WrestleMania, you were like, how could you have him face Gunther in a match and have him like lose clean at Saturday night's main event? Didn't matter. The audience was still behind him. I'm not saying it's right if they do that. What I just suggested they're going to do, where I think Logan will beat Jey Uso and they'll win the tag team match there. But I don't think right now at this point it matters in that sense because the crowd's still behind Jey.
I will say this. I say that whatever happens with Jey, whenever he loses this, whether you want to call him a transitional champion or you don't want to give him credit at all for this run, it's been more successful than the Gunther world title run. He's wrestled when he first won it and wrestled Seth, and then ever since then we were kind of waiting. Okay, all right, and I know Seth has been. He helped Jey a lot, I believe, in that match, and it's who you're in the ring with too. But to think of this schedule, and I like it, like I compare it to like a football tough schedule, right? He got laid out because he's helping Sammy, right? And he's everywhere in these programs too, by the way. So he's in a lot of angles too, right? So then to get beat up in the schedule where he goes, he's got to take on he had to take on Braun Breaker, I believe, right? Braun Breaker, then take on be in this tag team match, and then also the next night take on Gunther. And if he comes out on top, it's already more successful than Gunther's title run, because to me, it's been him being put in situations where you want to call him, he can't wrestle. You want to say he's overrated. He's all about the one word, the yeet, all this stuff. In the ring, his schedule has been pretty tough. And for whatever months he's been, is it a couple of months as a champion, whatever? I think it's very impressive as to the point that he's been able to be consistent in the ring, consistent with the media, and to do what it takes. Even with the kids, he comes out here, he's carrying kids. He's got to worry about who he's going to pick up. He's got to look. I think whatever you say about this title reign, it's been successful for Jey.
It's been successful to the point, Jeff, where I feel like it goes to the point you were making before when you were talking about the Women's Intercontinental Championship, where like you want a fighting champion, and Jey has been a fighting champion. Now, he hasn't defended the title, but he's been on TV. He's been in programs, interchanged with this and this, and going to tag team matches, and then facing this guy and then this guy. So we've seen a lot of him there. So I think that builds a lot of value, not necessarily to the world title, but to Jey as a character. So that's why I feel that if he were to get the loss, which that's what I'm predicting, he's going to lose and Logan's going to beat him 1, 2, 3, and that's how they're going to come out winning the match and the tag team match opening the card, which I think that's going to happen. I don't think it hurts Jey, because it's just going to create people like, man, I want Jey so badly to get this Logan Paul, and it's going to create more interest behind it. So I don't think it hurts him. I think we need to help Logan still to this extent.
Wouldn't you say, though, if you're making the case for Cena and Paul to come out victorious, that Cena should pin Cody so that I can't get over the hump happen again too? That would be an interesting situation where like, it gives Cody that doubt that I can't beat Cena right now, and leads into whether it's summer. I think it's going to be closer now. I don't think they're going to wait till December. I think maybe at SummerSlam, the way TK was blood hungry and bloodthirsty for selling every ticket, they're going to probably want to push it to. Oh boy, I'm really just bad on TK. I'm just really having a bad taste in my mouth with TK right now. But that they would probably want to push it up to SummerSlam, and they'd want to have this maybe. I don't know. I think that would be a scenario too where Cody could take the pin here and John Cena pins Cody leading into this, but. I mean, he go. Chester, as weird as I've had such a good the last couple of PLEs, I've had a good grasp on these matches. This one I can't. Like, I'm probably gonna be wrong with the Becky and Lyra, and I'm probably gonna be wrong on this one because I just don't have a feel for how it's going to go, and it's just weird. It's been a long time since I hadn't had a good feel of how these matches are going to go. But this, to me, this Money in the Bank one's a little bit tricky. What do you think?
No, not just this one. I think a lot of the ones we've talked about in the past, even WrestleMania, it's just been really tricky because even myself, it's been hard for me to grasp it too. But that's what you want, though. You don't want it to be as predictable. At least that's one of the benefits or the downfalls of it too, where it's just like I don't know where this is going, so it causes confusion and causes a little bit of disconnect. Or the ones where like, man, I don't know where this is going. This is exciting. What I don't know what to expect type of feel. In this scenario, it's think a little bit in the middle because there's so many directions you can go in. Depends on what they're viewing, right? Because you just said like if it goes the way I predict it, then you're like, okay, the focus is on Jey Uso in the world title. Wait, what's going on with John and Cody? In my opinion, I feel what they tried to accomplish at WrestleMania, it succeeded in terms of John Cena making history, but it didn't succeed in terms of having me invested in the story between Cody and John and wanting Cody to get his retribution for John. It just hasn't worked. I don't feel that. I know that's probably the direction they're going to go in. So, like you said, I don't think it's going to extend to December. It's probably going to be at SummerSlam because they're trying to build it up as one of the biggest ones because the first night time it's going to be a 2-night event, right? So I think that's what they're doing. But I don't feel that connect with Cody and John at all. I do feel more of that with Logan and Jay. But then to your point too, Gunther is going to be put in that mix, and you're like, okay, so does that mean we're going to not see Logan? Because that's the truth. I think if Logan gets this, it leaves it in the back of your mind because I don't think we're going to see Logan consistently. I don't think we're going to see him next week or the week after. I think it's going to go back to the
He's
Gunther
going to
thing,
pick his moments, right?
and he's going to pick his moment to come back, which could be SummerSlam. Who knows? This is me just kind of spitballing what I think might happen. And then that would be like, oh, remember he beat him at Money in the Bank? He's had his number. And again, listen, as much as people want to bash Logan Paul, whatever, to me, he still is, to me, not shown that he's had a bad match. And that's an amazing thing for somebody who doesn't do this consistently, for somebody who's considered a social media influencer, a YouTuber, whatever you want to call it, to be able to get in the ring and deal with the psychology. Granted, how much time he has to prepare is irrelevant because you can prepare all you want. When the lights are bright and you're out there to execute it and deliver, you have to deliver. And he's done that since day one. So I think that's the direction they might go in. I don't know where that leads Gunther, but he might be a placeholder and just filling in for Jay until we get to SummerSlam. I feel like that's more of a connection to happen as opposed to your point. If John beats Cody, oh my God, Cody can't get over the hump. I get it, but I just unfortunately don't feel the connection with the John Cena Cody storyline.
All right, so we'll see what's going to happen. Listen, we only have 4 matches, and each match is taking 20 minutes to break down. So it just shows you what we think of these matches. All right, Trendsetter, before we get to the Money in the Bank, though, which one are you more excited about? The women's or the men's? I'm more excited about the women's because on SmackDown we saw a little bit of a preview, and I guess that's what it is because I told you beforehand. Why is this 6-woman tag team match matter to these women when they're going to when they have to compete about Saturday? Why would anybody care about winning this one? This would be just like if you're already won the division, why are you going to play this game, right? To me, in reality, right, if you think about it, so like why would this match anybody care about it? Oh, of course it's going to be to get that edge going into Money in the Bank, but yeah, right. But what we did see was a very good matchup, and Rhea Ripley sold for Roxanne. Rhea Ripley sold for all these girls. Julia was amazing. Stephanie Vaquera, she's just on another level. And Naomi, backing out of the tag for Roxanne. Alexa Bliss looks great. I mean, everybody just killing it in the women's division, and the people saying this is awesome. I'm more intrigued about the women's ladder match than the men's.
Hate to agree with you, but I feel the same way too. I just feel like that has more investment into where I think they're going with the men's Money in the Bank, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But listen, when I look at this women's Money in the Bank ladder match, I can't tell you I've been a historian and looked at previous ladder matches in the past and looked at the names that are in that one. But when you look at the names in here, I'll even add Roxanne Perez to that because as much as I might not be a fan of her promo or her ability to talk on the microphone, she showcases in the ring and she can go with all of them. So I'll give her credit there. It's really interesting. Listen, the SmackDown match is like, listen, I was just paying attention to Julia and Stephanie Valkyrie. That's all I cared about. But you add Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, even Naomi. I'll give her flowers too, man. This new character of hers is over the top and sometimes a little comedical to me.
Online though, she is.
She is doing great work, man, and her having that freedom, which I didn't think she had in the previous regime, but having this ability to showcase something a little bit different than what we've seen Naomi do. I think the glow wore off a long time ago, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm more interested in this in terms of where it can go. I have a feeling of where it's going to go, but man, look at the talent on this roster.
But
A
let's
little
not
bit of
let's save that though till let's talk about the men's, because obviously we're more interested in the women's, right? So I just was like, I'm going to get a gauge where the trendsetter's at. So we both agree that it's going to be on the women. So we'll break it down. For the men's, listen, it's going to be Seth Rollins on, and here you're like, okay, it's only one or two.
got Andrade in this one.
Yeah, you got Seth Rollins, Andrade, who looked great, by the way. He looks like he's got a breath of fresh air now with it just, I don't know, the last couple weeks it just seemed like there's like a vigorous Andrade now on TV. But you got Andrade, LA Knight, Penta, Sol Sikoa, and El Grande Americano. So honestly, if I were to think about this, I guess it would make the most sense would make Seth Rollins. LA Knight, everyone's pushing who needs it more. That's the main question, trendsetter. So in this one, who needs it more?
Well, for the people who think LA Knight needs more, I completely disagree with them because LA Knight has needed it for a really long time, hasn't gotten it, and he's fine.
He's been the answer to that. Who needs more for a long time on our
Yeah,
side.
but who really needs it more? Well, if we're paying attention to W storylines and things that what's going on in the inner workings, Seth needs this more because he's building this faction and he's building this scenario where he wants to overtake the WWE and he wants the world title. Had an opportunity, CM Punk cost him that. Now he could be the wild card in this in terms of the Money in the Bank because he could find his way interfering in this and do what pathetically CM Punk always does is involve and encompass himself in making other people's lives miserable. He did that Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
I'm sure he's going to do that Seth Rollins because I'm sure he makes fun of this, right? Like, until there's every breath in my body, you won't be world champion. Cry me a river, CM Punk, right? You big hypocrite. More of a bigger hypocrite than stop it, Jeff. All right. You wanna go on your rants too, and I let you. I'm going on a rant here. So just sit there and enjoy it. CM Punk's a bigger hypocrite than Bryan Danielson. Thank God Bryan Danielson is not wrestling anymore. I can't take and stand it. Again, I don't wish him bad health-wise. I'm going to clarify that. I wish him, if he decides to get neck surgery or not, wish him a great life outside of wrestling. Don't want him in the ring anymore. As for CM Punk, big hypocrite here. I think Seth needs more, though, because the storyline they're building this is, listen, taking nothing away from all the guys in this match. Like, I'm happy for Andrade. I'm happy for Penta. I'm really happy, believe it or not, for El Grande Americano. I mean, can you imagine if he won it? That crowd would flip. Might be a possibility there, but I think Seth needs this more because the storyline he's building, the regime he's building, and how he's creating that storyline in Raw where he wants to take over the whole WWE but wants to be world champion. This is his best opportunity. He was Mr. Money in the Bank. He cashed in the perfect time at WrestleMania 31. I think he needs this more. I think that's the direction they're going, and Seth will come out victorious. He said it in so many interviews in the past. I've been watching a little bit. He's like, I'm at this age now where I need to work smarter, not harder. With, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed on his side, he's going to work a little bit smarter and come out victorious as Mr. Money in the Bank.
And you can see that that's what the goal was on SmackDown, to kind of like start really chipping away at these guys, and all these guys got attacked. So Seth obviously right now is the favorite. There's a lot of people saying Solo Sikoa had momentum. I think WrestleVotes, who's awesome with their predictions and with their news and stuff like that, had Solo and really can't. I mean, LA Knight, all the stuff like he needs more. He's gonna walk away with it. I just think it's gonna be another disappointment, another letdown. So I think Seth is the clear cut person to win this one at Money in the Bank. So I mean, do you like it? But it's going to improve the storyline, and he's going to cash in eventually and become the champ, because that's what's going to happen. That's what happens. The progression of your group. You need to have that title to solidify your fashion. All right, the women's Money in the Bank, which we just mentioned previously, that this was going to be the more popular one, the more one I'm looking forward to, and maybe it will main event. Maybe it will. But a lot of people thinking Rhea is going to come out and get the Money in the Bank. Listen, she's a star. She is just on another level, another planet of just her. She's just big time. She's just she's the name, and so it's very hard to say that anybody else has a legitimate chance when Rhea is in it. But you can say it's her first ever Money in the Bank. She said it's her first ever Money in the Bank, and you have people here that are hungry. You got Roxanne, you got Stephanie Vaquer. How can you right now, if anybody is hotter right now than Stephanie Vaquer? She's got a limited chance, but she's wrestled. She's gonna wrestle 3 times. She's gonna wrestle 3 times in this weekend, so that could be an issue with her. Julie, again, to me, it looks like she has her eyes set on the U.S. Championship, so they're kind of teasing that. So maybe she's not going to win too. Roxanne, just because it would be nice, but she's stuck with the Judgment Day, and maybe there might be something shenanigans going on with Liv and Raquel that might be an issue there. So when you take a look at it, there's only 2, Naomi and Rhea. Rhea, does she need this Money in the Bank briefcase? If it's between the 2, who needs it more, Rhea or Naomi?
Wow. When you brought up those 2 names a little bit, it surprised me a little bit. I don't think neither of them, because my scenario is Alexa Bliss.
All right.
And it's funny, the mere fact that she's been so overlooked in this. I think she needs it, because here's the thing. Naomi is set in terms of what she's doing now as a character, and she has things to settle with Bianca and
Jade.
Thank you. I was waiting for the train. That's what happened. Rhea, I'm joking. Rhea still has something in the scenario that she still wants the world title. I think her path to that is not necessarily needed for Money in the Bank. Alexa is important because she's been doing promos where she's like been teasing Tiffany Stratton, saying that you better pray that I don't get that title or I don't get that Money in the Bank. And this allows her not just to be a threat on SmackDown, but be a threat on Raw. So I just think right now, since Alexa's come back, it's kind of been subpar. If she becomes Miss Money in the Bank again, I think it creates a little bit more intrigue. So I'm looking at this in terms of who needs it, right? Because that's where we're using the preface of basing this off of. Julia, love her. Stephanie Vaquer, love her. Roxanne, she's dealing with the Judgment Day. I really think Alexa Bliss is the wild card here that nobody's looking at, and I wouldn't be shocked if she comes back victorious, because I think from that standpoint, you just asked me that question. Neither of those women need it. I think Alexa needs this right now to kind of create some type of intrigue in her right now, because it's been a subpar return since she came back at WrestleMania.
It's not her fault. It's not her.
No, it's not. But still, this would
help. Why it can't freaking stay healthy, and there's so much start and stop that it's just to me, it's just they try to associate them with her, then they're not going to. So it's been more on the booking for Alexa Bliss. But every time she's out there, she gets the reaction, she gets the crowd going. I would love to see her win too. I would definitely be happy about that. In my opinion, though, it's going to be between Rhea and Naomi, because just Rhea is just that megastar, and Naomi to me is one that, like, yes, this will solidify this heel turn. And by her carrying that Money in the Bank briefcase, you never know how much longer these guys are going to carry this Money in the Bank, because according to reports that Triple H is not a fan of that Money in the Bank and carrying it for that long and having that prop. So we'll see what they do here. But I think Naomi needs it more just in the aspect that this would solidify her heel turn, and to have her carry that and end the year on a title run, it'd be a really huge accomplishment for Naomi. And I think the character just built off of that. And then you have, obviously, they announced that the United Champions are going to be the King and the Queen of the Ring. That comes back too in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of wrestling, dude. So after this, you have that to look forward to. So that is your Money in the Bank predictions and our preview. And I really think that this is kind of going to be an unpredictable night, or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just wrong. But you coming off Alexa Bliss, you make a great point. So I can't argue with you on that one, because that's just that would make sense too for Alexa Bliss to have an opportunity with that Money in the Bank. But we'll see what happens there. And then Worlds Collide will be right before that. Obviously, Chad Gable and El Hijo de Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship. So Chad Gable could have a very good good night if he's successful. Well, I'm not saying that he's a gran americano or anything like that, but I'm not alluding to anything like that, because I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd make those types of comparisons. They're two different.
But it would be a very good night for Chad Gable if he's successful in the Money in the Bank. Not that he's a gran americano, but you never know. I mean, it's kind of, there are signs that there is, but it'd be a really good night for him. You don't see it?
I don't see the signs of how they're the same person.
I got you. Yeah.
Somebody likes conspiracy. You like conspiracies a lot, don't you,
I
Jeff?
love conspiracy theories. It's probably the biggest one in the last few years, especially in wrestling, of course.
You're
And
probably
then
one of the people that thought Elias and Ezekiel were the same person, weren't you? You're probably one of those weirdos like Kevin Owens who thought
they're
they were the same
not.
person.
They're not. You kidding me?
Oh, what are you talking about? There's documented footage. They're brothers. What are you talking about? They're identical twins.
So what we're gonna do is that you've got Worlds Collide, and we're gonna come on with our post show after uh Money in the
Yeah.
Bank.
We're gonna do it in Spanish though the entire time.
Yes, and I really wish that there are a lot of secrets going to Worlds Collide, and Lillian Garcia is going to be the ring announcer. And they were talking about Mike Tenay coming back. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I hope it's true.
Aren't you surprised he never got a hire? That hey, I'm not saying it's going to happen because it.
I think it's had something to do with the old regime though. That's why he didn't get hired. I don't think Vince really liked him.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is so good, man. Especially with the Mexican wrestlers. I loved when you would see the cruiserweight division in WCW, and Mike Tenay would offer his insights and all that stuff. That was so good. I thought that offered a lot of good stuff. And maybe, hopefully, we do see him because it's not official. Nothing's confirmed, but they said that they were there was some kind of talk that they wanted to hire Tenay for this, and I'd be all for it, man. I don't think I've heard him since TNA, and I've always wondered what was up with him, like what he was doing. So it'd be good to see Mike Tenay. But the Worlds Collide card again. I'm not gonna preach here and tell you I know everything about Laredo Kid or Dr. Wagner or whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But looking forward to that, and we'll see how the partnership goes with AAA. And WWE going forward. I know Conan's going to be part of it. Jeremy Borash is going to be part of creative too. So I'm curious. That's why I'm going to watch that too. And we'll have your post show immediately after Money in the Bank, and we'll talk about it and discuss everything that happened on another busy night in pro wrestling. AEW Fighter Fest was Fighter Fest. I mean, you're getting another 4 hours next week. Sort of blockbuster. They're starting to that build up for All In Dallas. So we'll discuss about that as well too. Okada and Omega. I have my thoughts on that as well. It's 8 years in the making, and I think it's going to be a huge letdown, and not because of Omega. And so, man, just the Tony, man, just if you're gonna do 4 hours, man, like you got to have more significant matches. It was like a lot. We'll get to that as well. And what I wanted to discuss, though, real quick, Trendsetter, is that TNA, and you'll see they had their Against All Odds show, 53% more of a gate, and they're just continuing to do good business. And I'll say this, dude. At the end of the day, you can talk about Mariah May. We'll real quick, we'll wrap up with that one. But Mariah May, Ricky Starks, Ethan Page. Think of the long list of people that have left that company and gone to WWE or NXT. And the biggest fumble in my eyes for Tony Khan, which they want to say fumble, is going to be Mike Santana. Because not only has Mike Santana just been amazing, he has a great story, he's got a great promo, people get behind him, he's got that it factor, he's got the relatability. But this guy, when I see him every single time, all I can think of is like, all right, he's going to be a TNA World Champion eventually, and then he's going to be a WWE Champion. I clearly see that for Mike. I'm happy for him. But this is a dude, how could you let it slip away? Yes, he had his demons. Yes, he got injured in AEW. But this is a guy that had a great match with Trick and obviously has all the intangibles to become a champion and will become a champion, in my opinion. And what do you think, Trendsetter? Do you think that Santana has that ability to take it to the next step, to the next level in TNA as a champion and possibly in the future in WWE?
Well, to answer your question, do I think he has that ability? Yes, 100%. Just of what you've seen him do, not only as a tag team quote unquote specialist when he was part of LAX, but now more so as an individual star. Listen, with him, and he's been on the show before, and we've enjoyed talking to him too. And you just when you speak to him, or you do an interview with him, or he does an interview, or he's doing a promo, to your point, Jeff, right? It just feels authentic. It doesn't really feel like he's trying to say something for the sake of what a character would say. And again, quote another guy famous, Stone Cold said, your best character is yourself with the volume turned up 10 times. I think he's shown a lot of who he is as a person. He's very proud Puerto Rican.
Boricua, yeah.
Boricua. I think this version of Mike is a scenario where just people get behind because it has been easy for him. They've seen the struggle, and they've seen from where he started to where he was in the middle to the question of, where his career was going to go and to what he's done in terms of everything he's overcome to this point. And I think, honestly, I mean, listen, we can debate for hours and talk about, was Tony wrong at judging talent? And that's a podcast for another day, I guess. But in this scenario, the crowd has gotten behind him. And I think, yeah, has the potential. I'm not saying he's there yet, but he has the potential from what you see him doing the promos to his work in the ring to what he did with Trick Williams and the great match I think they had together, for this to be a huge story where he'll eventually become the TNA champion. Everyone talked about, say his name and he appears. I believe in Mike Santana. I really do, because he has shown the fact that, listen, I'm not trying to hate on people having a gimmick and doing things like that, but when you look at him and what he's accomplished to this point, it's easy for the crowd to get behind him.
It's amazing too, because Joe Henry had the Royal Rumble, had the WrestleMania moment, and had won the TNA Championship, and now people have moved off of that for a little bit. And I really thought it really was a hindrance for Joe Henry not to show up that following week after he lost, and he kind of was hit. He kind of hid, and then he shows up this past week, and like, I know you took the time because you feel like you let the company down, but well, your stock just went in a week and a half, and it just seems like it just went down, and he's at his lowest point right now. And I didn't think that was possible after all the highs. It just went crashing down for Joe Henry. So we'll see if he can recuperate that. As for real quick for Trick Williams, for a long time, we said it here. You didn't believe in Trick. It just, something was missing with Trick. It just wasn't working. Yeah, I know you got the issue with the baby oil, but man,
that was the one thing that wasn't missing from him.
This is freaking working for Trick, because now it just seems like the match with Mike Santana, with Joe Henry, and even with Oba, it just has brought out this side of Trick, and he's a heel, and he's playing it so well, and he needed just that extra competition, because he was ready to go in the main roster, but it just was that competition, that in-ring, just fine tune. And man, what a great run this is for Trick. And I was like, wow, this TNA merger has done so much for both. And don't look at the wins and losses, because it's going to be lopsided, but just look at what's happening with TNA as a growth standpoint. Look at against all odds. Wait till you get the buys. Wait till you see what the gate is. That's where the impact, no pun intended, is for TNA right now, because as they're growing, as they want to get that TV deal, they want to get this exposure, and that is what WWE is doing. And I believe at the end of the day, this has been a much better partnership than with AEW.
Well, let me just clarify one thing, because I want to make sure people are clear on what I said. When I told you I don't believe in Trick Williams, I said I didn't believe in what they were doing with him, because he was this cookie cutter babyface NXT champion, and then he was chasing it. All the people were behind Joe. He got lost in the shuffle. So I said, I don't believe in what he's doing now, because it didn't feel authentic to me. This version of Trick is the version I safely say, and I've said this before on the show, that I wanted to see. And we've seen it now. And he's a better heel, in my opinion, than he's a babyface. That's okay. Some people are just better in one than the other. And then, as he matures and grows in this industry, he can probably play both really well. But right now, his run as a heel now, as the TNA champion, is great. It also creates longevity, because if you brought him to the main roster, he was just getting lost in the shuffle. There's going to be no place for him. So Raw, SmackDown, you're basically going to see him on main event probably, or on W Speed. Unfortunately, that's how I thought he was going. Now it's like a breath of fresh air for him now. Now he has the ability of working with a whole bunch of roster that he's never worked with. He can be showcased on TNA until they make the decision to either go with Joe or Mike Santana for a champion, and you have that ability of the chase, and just creates more, not just for the individuals in TNA, to finally one of them to reclaim the TNA title back for the brand. That's one of the stories going into it, right? But it also helps Trick in terms of having him work with other people. Jeff, this is what I've been talking about for the longest time, man. The mere fact that, yes, under old regimes, it wouldn't happen, old personalities, other owners, whatever you want to say. for the ability of companies not to work together collectively. It's always a scenario where it's a dangerous game because you don't want one side to look weak. You don't want the other side to be too strong, vice versa. You want to protect your brand, right? But this ability where I feel it's been really well balanced. Can you imagine people from NXT going to TNA, TNA superstars coming to NXT, then them going to SmackDown, and then people, if they were to run a deal and be able to work something with Japan or Mexico, going there, it just creates more work for your talent who may not be ready to be on WTV, but you know what? They're ready to go on TNA. And this isn't to diminish TNA. I'm saying, listen, we don't have a space for you here, but TNA can use you and you can still reach great heights, get money, popularity, and then you might bring you into WWE, or you might go down to Mexico, or you might go to Japan. But like I said, if there's a deal with Japan, it just creates more ability for talent to work and for it not to get stale. I wish we'll see more of this in the future. But for right now, what they're doing between NXT and TNA, I think it's a really successful partnership.
And NXT is killing right now, and you think that you're going to feel the loss with Stephanie McCare and Julia, two big stars going, and then all of a sudden, boom, Mariah May comes in, and that was unexpected. We were kind of thinking maybe they played it well. We didn't know when the contract was expiring. We thought it was going to be late summer, end of summer, so we were kind of pointing to maybe Evolution that PLE, but man, as soon as Julie and Stephanie McCare leave, and Jordan Grace might be there for just a little bit longer, and the women's roster is deep. You saw it as soon as Jacy Jane comes out, all these women are ready to compete and vie for that championship. And then it got more glamorous as Mariah May comes out and she makes her NXT debut. I have no problems with her wanting to start, or not, we don't know yet if she wanted to, but we have no problem with her starting up in NXT. It's the same footsteps as Julie and Stephanie McCare and Ricky Starks. They're not there for a long term. These are probably people that signed a deal. They're going to be in NXT, hit the short term, and then move up. But whatever you want. Yes, Mariah May you could say she's main roster ready. It does not hurt her one bit to be there, learn the camera angles, see what it's like to actually have fans on the hard cam side, and just learn what it's like to be in that WWE atmosphere, because it's a different animal. So if she wants to learn that, more power to her. But did she make the right decision? I mean, she already signed with Paradigm Entertainment. So, I mean, obviously she's on that step to be that star, to have that exposure outside of the company too. She just checks off all the boxes, trendsetter, and she's only 26. So, and she's living out her dream. This is what she wanted to do. They said no to her. She went, signed with AEW, built it up, had an amazing, probably had the best women's rivalry there ever in the history of that company. And then she increased her value and came to WWE, and she's living out her dream. Can't hate her for that. So happy for Mariah May, or whatever they're going to call her now in the future, but happy for her. Was a very successful debut.
I'll always look at her as Mariah May. Extremely happy for her in terms of what she's done. Like, before she arrived at AEW, I saw her a little bit on the indie scene. She had a great match with Julia. I believe it was for Glamour. Yeah, for Stardom. Yeah, great there. Not only is she captivatingly beautiful, but she can go in the ring. And I think what she was working on, and which I think she did successfully in AEW, was not only have that factor of being drop dead gorgeous, really good in the ring, but now having the ability of connecting with the audience and having a character portray it, and just really being confident in terms of showcasing herself. Like I said, one of the best, probably in my opinion, and you said it too, best women's storylines ever in AEW history. I think it will go down. It would be her and Tyler Tony Storm. So I think that has a lot to say in terms of what she's accomplished and what she's here. So I'm so completely happy. We talk a lot more about her in depth, but in terms of that, I'm happy for it. When it happened, I was like, here we go. It's another version where it's, like I said, it's a revolving circle, revolving door. As soon as some people leave, you have other people come in, and I'm in agreement too. I think her being
the circle of life in pro wrestling.
Exactly, the circle of life in pro wrestling. Hashtag. I should make a shirt of that one day. Probably make some money. But yeah, I think for her, it's the right decision, because it goes back to trying to protect yourself, protect your stock. She is main roster ready, but I don't want her to get lost in the shuffle. There is still time for her to grow in NXT, to work with some talent there, to be a dominant. I think eventually she'll be, sooner rather than later, NXT Women's Champion. It can be a very dominant one too. But again, we said the same thing about Stephanie and Julia. It wasn't the case, right? But I think she has the opportunity to do that. And then when she does make her way to the main roster, it's going to be Glamorous for her. So I'm so happy for her. She's definitely earned it. She had, achieved a lifelong goal in terms of being part of WWE. Now you're there, you're home. Let's make it a home. I can't wait to see more of Mariah May. Whatever they call her in the end, I don't care. She's always going to be Mariah May to me.
All right, so that is our Money in the Bank preview. We talked a little bit about Worlds Collide, obviously a little bit of TNA and Trick and Santana and the debut of Mariah May. So we'll obviously come back next time with your Money in the Bank post show on IG Live. Follow us on all our social media, High Spot Podcast, and also make sure you give us a like and subscribe here on the YouTube here at Give a Shot Network. We want to thank you guys for all that you do here on the YouTube. Tremendous show. So you want to make sure that you follow us and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes of HSP. And again, if you can't watch us, then listen to us on all podcast platforms, and you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, all podcast platforms. You will find HSP. All right, Trendsetter. So we will see you on the post show for Money in the Bank. Let's wrap this one up.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of the High Spot Podcast from my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I am the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew, and we thank you so much for joining this ride with us because we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
See you on IG Live, folks. Money in the Bank post show.